gonna hate you, Matt.
They might.
Matt, just tell them we're from Fish Center.
Excited, kind of. I told you, one tank.
Hashtag.
This is Matt going to the ATM. It's not the ATM you think. It's not an automatic teller machine. It's just kind of like a robot banker. This is ATM for acrylicaquariums.com. Let's see if they kill him or not.
This is the store, of course, is featured in Animals Planet's hit TV show Tanked. And we're intimidated by them because we always considered us to be the #1 fish show. But it turns out this show actually is much higher
one's
rated.
considered us that.
Well, I mean,
Well,
when it
we've
comes to
considered that.
fish who are characters and fish who have stakes, you know, I feel like unless there's a show based off that Will Smith movie called, what was it called, Dolphin Man? There's not Shark Tale.
Free Willy.
There's no one as famous as our fish.
Show you smoke?
So Fish Center has been on a couple years now. We have a beautiful 2 fish tanks now filled with 11 fish. We watch them and we observe them as they swim, and our listeners call in. We have listeners from all over the world call in and talk to us. We've named our fish, and we...
So very interactive.
Very interactive.
Today's episode is fixing to end.
We superimpose digital coins on top of the tank, so when a fish swims by, they get that point. We have a game called Coin Quest. So we have 11 fish over 2 tanks.
Are the 2 tanks connected?
No, they're not connected.
It's actually a big drama because when you're doing the sport that has seasons, depending on how many coins you get, and then some final match that's like a different style of game, when you've got 2 different tanks, there's kind of an imbalance because they're not in the same field, which is the whole discussion in rule bending. There's been a lot of content made through discussing these rules, but in the end, the audience and us really want to bring these fish together so they can have the same field. There's no question of camera rigging. They're all playing together.
Well, you could maybe do a couple of things I can think of. Like, for example, design-wise, you could either do, you can do one big tank, which is obvious for like a football field would be, as opposed to small practice fields.
The football field, yeah.
So a football field from center from 50-yard line in would be one half, and then the other, which is the analogy would be one half of the field is one tank, and the other half is the other tank. You could do things like make 2 tanks with a tube between, so they could swim back and forth when they wanted to, which would be kind of cool. And then you could put them all together, but you could also separate them, or you can put a divider in between the 2 in the center one, so that, or even a bigger tank with a divider in the middle, so when they're apart, you can put a divider in, they're still separated. When they come together for whatever your event is, take the thing out, and now you've got one big tank.
So there's concern, I guess, about the different fish. I'm sure you deal with it all the time.
The different species?
Different species.
So like if you were to put some, and I can show you the back if you guys want, but put some corals, the whole key with, when you can have interspecies in one big aquarium, there's going to be an alpha no matter how you look at it.
Right.
And the key is to usually put the smaller fish in first, and then the bigger fish in, because the little fish can find their niches, they can figure out what they want to do.
Right.
Then the bigger fish comes in and he'll acclimate to everything else. But the little fish need a place to go and hide and stay away from the bigger fish at times. With an eel, pretty much, if you don't feed the tank well enough, he's going to eat whatever he can eat, whatever he can get in his mouth, he's going to eat.
Right.
So, with the exception maybe of the puffer. So the goal is to have one bigger tank that they can all survive in.
And an interesting tank that, you know, maybe is a cool design or something.
And again, I would say add stuff to the interiors, whether it's themed based on what your show is all about, whether it's coins, whether it's this, that. You've seen our show, so you know we theme the interiors of our tanks. I'd say watch a few episodes of that.
Yeah.
And then add artificial corals, because you're also helping the environment out. You're not using real coral. You're not using live rock. You're not using any of those other things that are taking stuff out of the ocean.
Yeah.
And then that will give places for the other fish to go and hide. And you get some interaction because they're going around behind those objects.
One thing I had in my head was like arch curving, so just like vertical curving, but the sides could still remain vertical to sort of mitigate the distortion.
Okay, what do you mean by arch?
Like if we're going to have like 2 sections that were connected,
then
the connection could be maybe an arch. So it's
yeah.
curved,
the,
but only...
The problem with an arch is you're not going to get the fish to swim through it. You almost have to have the fish be on the same strata, or you have to feed them on one side, and they'll stay in one and they'll go to the other.
Right.
We did a couple of different tanks where they want to add things in different elements, but the fish get used to this, they just stay there.
Okay.
So they don't really interact all that much. And then depending on the height of your tank, some fish like all different kinds of fish. But some fish will stay in the bottom strata, some will go in the
Right.
middle, some will go in the upper. You do a 20-foot tall tank, the fish in the bottom are not going to be the same ones as the ones on the top. You're going to get your schooling fish towards the top, and your tangs and all that kind of stuff are going to be more on the bottom.
Can you introduce a current somehow? This sounds a dumb question maybe,
Sure,
but just to sort of
of
move them
course.
around?
Sure.
You can.
You can. I mean, we've done trout tanks where literally you're trying to duplicate a river. Yeah, I mean, I can think of lots of things. I don't know what kind of budget you have or what size
I think we
aquarium.
also think, is this going to be in the office area?
Yeah, it's going to be.
Noise can be a factor for other people working.
The key you can do that. You can do other things for that as well. Let's start first with the size. So,
Yeah.
bang for your buck, about 3 feet high, no higher. Once you get above 3 feet, you start getting a little bit more expensive.
You mean,
The
what does that
taller
mean?
the taller the tank gets, the thicker the acrylic, the more expensive it becomes. You can have a long rectangular tank
Yeah.
that's 20 feet long versus a tank that's 20 feet high,
Right.
and this is 1/10 of what this is. So your height is what dictates a lot of your cost. If you're going to put them on a stand or on tables or on something that's going to support them and have life support in them, then that's your base. If you're trying to eliminate sound, then you do them in this room and you plumb everything through, and your equipment's on that side of the wall.
And acrylic or glass? I don't know the difference in tanks.
So basically, glass has been around forever and been the standalone tanks for small aquariums, probably like your 175s. They even call them like 175s and 210s. It's a standard kind of in that industry. With acrylic, there is no such thing because I can do it to the 1/4 inch, whatever you want to change it up, down, sideways, shape, whatever.
Oh, so it's because it's much more customizable. So what we want really is one tank that can accommodate all these fish, maybe a couple more if we add some eventually, that's good on camera, or that, we can get lots of angles of the fish, variable angles.
But we do got to be like a 16 by 9 primary angle that we use. Accommodates
Well,
most
you could
of their
do
viewing area.
you could do more faceted. You could do like a hexagon or an octagon or anything. If you want to think about fighting, if they're supposed to be fighting, then an octagon might be a cool way to go. And
yeah,
have
an
a divider
octagon.
in the middle. You could do a hexagon. Anything you want to do with sides, and then you can make
Yeah.
one primary field, the front field, and each side of that. So let's say the front one's 3 feet long, and then you got 1 foot, and then 2 foot, and then whatever the back is.
Yeah.
You can do a pentagon. You can do any shape and size you want. That's the good thing about acrylic as well.
So what do we do next? What do you think our next step should
Well,
be?
I would say get me some drawings of the tank you've already got, some dimensions of the tanks
Okay.
you've already got. Get me the names of all the fish, the sizes of all the fish.
Okay.
Maybe some new possible fish that are coming down the road. And then if you've got angles that you need it to be able to do, if you're going to go with a hexagon or an octagon
Yeah.
or even a curved, if you want to go with the curve, go with the curved front and the other sides.
Octagon, that would be great.
We could brainstorm theming that's like specific to fishing.
Yeah.
Here's a really dumb idea. We have a Chia Pet joke based off his head. Could we put something in a tank that like grew
Sure.
moss that looked like his head? That would be awesome.
That would be
That's the
awesome.
main thing I think we need.
Well,
And an
you
Eiffel
can-
Tower
Yeah.
and a pizza.
You can have a smaller tank or keep one of your smaller tanks and do some of that stuff in the smaller tanks and transfer your fish.
I think we need a
occasionally for different
quarantine tank,
shots. Exactly.
Yeah.
And you
Well,
could
that's
do
what
your
our
chia.
current tanks would become quarantine.
Yeah.
Right.
But you could do your chia head in one of those tanks if you wanted to, and then have some fish in that tank.
It sounds like we've got to probably watch all of the shows that you guys have made and pull some inspiration.
I'm
from
sure
there.
Animal Planet and Tanks would be happy for you
Yeah,
to watch all their
you guys
episodes.
have probably done everything that we can
Rate
think
them.
of.
Yeah,
So-
Wednesday nights is what I catch them on Wednesday nights, or at least I used to.
There's certain nights when it's just hour
Yeah,
after hour
those
after hour, and
marathon
you
it.
binge watch it.
We should watch it on Fish Center, but we can't show it on Fish Center. We just react to it.
We just pixelate the entire screen.
Yeah.
No, you just film you guys looking
Wa-
this
yeah,
way at the,
yeah.
at the tank.
I was say, if you want
good
to peek at
idea.
ours, you can just go to the website right now and like bring up one of our
Yeah,
shows.
you can. Any YouTube too. You can
Yeah.
pull up anything you want. Like,
We also have a crawfish tank. And periodically we have little things where we feed the crawfish to the
I was going to
fish.
take the crawfish and feed them to the
Yeah.
bigger fish.
So maybe we can also talk about some elaborate ways of food delivery.
Custom death row or connect death
Yeah,
row.
custom connector to get the crawfish over there because it's pretty
Conveyor.
interesting to watch them.
Yeah,
eat.
that'd be cool to have a little conveyor and a little thing.
Well, that
and
could
they
be
fall.
the current. If we have like
Oh yeah,
a
blow it through.
yeah,
Yeah.
just have like a super strong current that'll just like suck one in like the bank vacuum tube.
Right. All right. So next steps, we got to get you photos.
We definitely don't do the same kind of things on Animal Planet.
No,
So.
no. Well, this is just natural. But so all right. So we'll get you
Natural selection.
natural selection.